I want to start today with something that sounds like a proverb since we've been in the book of Proverbs, but it really isn't. So here's the quote. Finally, I say a true queen is not a woman who snatches another woman's crown, but a woman who secretly sets another woman's crown. Right? Sounds just like a proverb. It has this idea of a contrasting idea, which the proverb uses quite often. Just a moment, I'll tell you what shocking event gave that proverb its origin. You probably didn't see it. I didn't see it in a lot of places, but when I saw it, I had to save it for one of these midweek devotionals. Good morning. My name is Jeff Elliott, pastor of the New Horizons Fellowship here in New Haven, Indiana. Today's Thursday, June the 3rd of 2021 already. Things are looking good in the world. Vaccines are out. People are wearing less masks. It's good to be back. I've been here since this thing started. But anyway, glad that you're there. Also want to invite you to interact, like, share our page. Let me know that you're out there watching. So anyway, we always start with a couple jokes in the morning. And the jokes are going to set the tone for the event that I just described, created that proverb. Anyway, story goes that a woman injected her 8-year-old daughter with Botox for beauty pageants, but she has lost custody of the child. The child didn't look surprised. Get it? I just give it just a beat there for you to catch on to that one. And there was an American history discussion group. The professor was trying to explain how society's idea of beauty changes with time. For example, he said the winner of the Miss America pageant in 1921 stood 5 feet 1, weighed only 108 pounds, and had measurements of 30, 25, 32. And then he asked the class, how do you think she'd do in today's version of the contest? And the class was mostly silent. I think probably not one to touch that one. Until one woman commented she'd lose for sure. The professor says, well, why is that? Well, for one thing, the student answered, she's probably dead. What was the year on that? 1921? Oh, it's 100 years ago. So, yeah, probably is. Anyway, last one for the day. The Miss Universe pageant is definitely rigged. The winners are always from Earth. I can remember years ago thinking, not thinking it was rigged, but it always seemed like Texas was always in it, and there was a couple other places, California maybe. Anyway, so back to our theme for today. Did my jokes give away the origin of the story? Perhaps you saw the story. If you did, let me know. But here's the proverb again. Finally, I say a true queen is not a woman who snatches another woman's crown, but a woman who secretly sets another woman's crown. This was said by Mrs. Sri Lanka back in April of this year after she had the crown ripped off her head by the previous year's winner who had claimed that she was divorced. There's some rule about to be Mrs. you can't be divorced, and she was separated from her husband or something. The story's kind of murky. But nevertheless, the previous year's winner got wind of this and decided after this lady had won, she was going to take the crown off her head. You can watch the video. The link is should be in the title of today's devotional, but I'm not kidding. You can watch the video. And once they put those crowns on, they have all the kind of hairpins, and it took them a while to get it off, and you can't really see the woman's face who's coming off, but she immediately gets angry and leaves. You'll probably go watch it now. We'll send that video viral, so I'll take credit for that. Anyway, so that was a real event, and she said something about the real true queen is one who snatches, and not a woman who snatches another woman's crown, but a woman who sets another woman's crown secretly. So I thought that there's an actual proverb that we should probably use to talk about this today. 11:22 says this: like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman without discretion. Now, I think we probably could have applied that to previous Mrs. Sri Lanka because discretion would have just said, just wait and we'll take this up later. Turns out she made this big public display of it, and the sponsors of the pageant or whatever already knew about it, and the woman was legal and she retained her crown, but meanwhile she's embarrassed herself and everyone else. So, and I think that we could say that to rip the crown off a beauty queen's head on live TV shows a lack of discretion. And I'd always heard that beauty pageants can get pretty bitter behind the scenes, but this is pretty bold. So, like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman without discretion. And I think that's what we have here. So let's take this one verse further. In this message series, we're going to begin this Sunday. We're going to explore. Actually, we're not going to be on this part this Sunday. We're going to start in Proverbs, but throughout this series, we'll explore a couple verses that warn about living with a contentious or a quarrelsome woman. And these Proverbs are memorable because of the way they're worded, like the one I started with. And that's an essential part of a proverb. We will talk about that this Sunday. But there are about 5 verses or so in Proverbs that talk about what it's like to live with a quarreling, angry, bitter woman or whatever. Hint, hint, it's not good. And that is probably, one of the more popular verses in Proverbs because they're so memorable. But there's another point of Proverbs that I want to point out. Proverbs has its entire last chapter, which speaks about contrasting with the verses we already read about gold and a pig's snout is a beautiful woman without discretion. But the last chapter of Proverbs talks about the qualities of an excellent wife. And the other verse I wanted to read to us today was Proverbs 31:30, because this verse comes at the end of Proverbs 31, which is that list of qualities of a woman of excellence. Now let's read, where does beauty fall into this concept? Proverbs chapter 31, verse 30, actually second from the last verse. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. The verse is pretty straightforward. And the fear of the Lord is another phrase that we'll be studying in the book of Proverbs, because it does require some study, and we'll do that as well. But if you think about it, we don't have fear of the Lord pageants, do we? No, we have beauty pageants. In fact, I'm not really even sure we do beauty pageants anymore. I haven't seen any for a while, and anyway, I don't know if we do them. Nevertheless, when we are young and looking for someone to marry, we're usually attracted by someone who we think is beautiful or handsome. And I have a problem with that. That's a natural thing. That's usually how we're drawn together. But that being said, there needs to be more than that. The ladies that I saw on the video in Mrs. Sri Lanka were all beautiful. But apparently there was some bitterness, some feuding, certainly a lack of discretion. So there needs to be more than just beauty. I don't think I've ever heard even the most shallow guy say, I can't stand her, but she's just so beautiful, right? There's an aspect to people besides how beautiful they are that you can't look past their personality, attitude, whatever it may be. And eventually that beauty fades away, and we still end up living with the one that we chose. We all get old. And if you're married, here's my challenge for us today. If you're married, thank God for the one you chose, regardless of what stage of life you're at. Maybe you just got married and you're still both young and beautiful. Well, God bless you. Enjoy that. But I also want you to remind yourself of the qualities that go beyond physical appearance, because you're going to need those years down the road when you think the beauty has faded in your marriage, and maybe the one that you married is not as attractive to you. I'll come back to that thought in a second. But if you have not yet found that one who's the one for you, I'll remind you this, that beauty is only skin deep. You need to search beyond the way that they look. There needs to be more there. Marriage is meant to last a long time. Beauty doesn't always last that long. Now, that's not to say, back to the thought I had earlier, that you won't always find your spouse physically attractive. Here's what I found. Have you ever had a friend who has fallen in love with someone and they go on and on about how gorgeous the person they're in love with is, and you just don't see it? I've had that happen, and go, okay. We just write it off to, hey, they're in love. Here's the reason that happens. There is an unexplainable beauty that people see in each other when they are bonded together in ways that go beyond beauty. Unfortunately, in our world today, we have a lot of people that get together only for the sake of they both think the other person looks really good. But there's an attractiveness, literally like a physical attractiveness, that occurs in people when their minds are bonded, their spiritual desires are the same, their goals are the same, their life pursuits, and that's really what you should be looking for when you're considering being married. So here's our summarizing thought for today. If it helps, whether you're married now or you're not yet married, make a list of qualities that you find very attractive, and good looking, hot shouldn't be on the list because we're talking about the other things today. Specifically, the qualities that you're looking for in someone that you're married to or someone you wish to be, and it'll be a helpful exercise for you. And here's the last hint for the day: ripping a crown off someone's head on public TV probably shouldn't be on the list. So do that as your exercise. Even if you just make a mental list. I'm sorry, my eye itches. Even if you just make a mental list of the qualities that you think are attractive. Maybe it can be intelligence, driven, focused, hard worker. There could be any number of things that you find attractive. And especially if you're married, hopefully your spouse still has some of those things. So make a list for yourself to remind yourself of why you fell in love, not just because of the way they look. So I know that's a simple thought for today, but I wanted to get you the story about the beauty pageant in Sri Lanka, and also I wanted to challenge you with that thought today. And let me close with today with a word of prayer. Father, thank you for an opportunity to share some thoughts on how you view us despite our sin and our ugliness in many ways. You loved us enough to send your Son to die for us, and we say thank you. Help us to model this in our relationships. And we know that beauty is not a bad thing, but there is so much more that we have to offer as humans to each other, such as you offered to us with the life of your Son. And we say thank you. Give us courage and wisdom today to see things, to see the world and those around us as you see them, and to return honor and glory to you. And we ask this in Christ's name, amen. Well, hey, thanks for being here. As always, we'll record Sunday's message, the introduction to the book of Proverbs, and put that up on either Sunday or Monday, and then we'll plan to be back next Tuesday and probably do some more Proverbs then. So, hey, have a great day.